Students tear-gassed, tackled to the ground, and thousands arrested. These scenes of pro-Palestinian activity on US student campuses divided opinion last spring. While the policing of those protests in the UK didn't match the violence of the US, an investigation by Sky News and Liberty Investigates has found new evidence of more than 40 UK universities discussing Gaza protest activity with police or security organisations, and 28 universities investigating at least 113 protesters, staff and students for their pro-Palestinian activism.
We want justice, you say how?
Sufyan was one of those students who faced disciplinary action for attending unauthorised protests.
If a protest is authorised, that means we're confined by the limits of the oppressor, and we don't want that. We want to have it by our own terms, by our own boundaries, and that's what protesting has and should always be.
And in terms of police present, I mean, there's a police van over there. I'm not sure if it's for this protest, but we saw security at the protest earlier. Does that make you feel safe on campus? They're here to protect you?
Not at all. I think we've seen it time and time again with security using extreme measures to monitor us.
The university have now dropped their investigation and say the right to protest must be balanced against student safety. Especially important for David, an undergraduate at LSE who wants more protections for Jewish students.
There were definitely a lot of anti-Semitic incidents on campus. And I think, it's a lot about being in the minority and having the other group being extremely loud about it. And so I think a lot of times, when I was walking in the library and I had all those people throwing leaflets around, shouting and all that, and I was just trying to walk by, definitely made me and a lot of other Jewish students feel really uncomfortable. Yeah.
The Community Security Trust recorded a 5-fold increase in anti-Semitic incidents at universities since October 7th, something that's concerned Dov Foreman.
Of course, university is a place where you should develop your opinions, where there should be freedom of speech, but that has to be within the confines of the law, and that can't be at the expense of Jewish students like myself, who at times feel like we're being dehumanised and delegitimised on campus.
But for Newcastle students, one date stands out to them for what they allege was an excessive use of force on May 29th last year, when they attempted to occupy the university's Armstrong building. Students and staff wanted to be interviewed anonymously, and the footage you're about to see was filmed by protesters who were there.
We scouted the building and took the building. We found out they'd locked the fire doors and a protest was called outside.
The university then calls police to the scene.
At one point, a few of us stood back and started to count the number of police. There were well over 50 police. Way more than I've seen at any point, I think.
As tensions seem to escalate, the police are seen attempting to carry a limp protester.
When I got to the protest, I immediately saw someone having a seizure. So just someone thrashing around on the ground while police are pulling them forward.
Northumbria police said that some protesters refused to comply and that they will not accept people using protests as a means to commit crime.
They got out their batons at that point to try and keep pushing us back and pushing us back.
If that's now how the police and employer are going to treat peaceful protests on the campus I work, that really makes me worried for the future.
A collective voice for universities say they engage with the police only occasionally, and it's always proportionate.
There is a difference between freedom of speech and hate speech. So if people are inciting violence, for example, encouraging students to take physical action against other students or indeed buildings, then that, of course, breaks the law. There have been incidents in some universities where students have actually broken into buildings and caused physical damage. That is breaking the law.
Universities are proud of the legacy of activism on their campuses. This new generation of students are now questioning the limits of protesting this divisive issue at the universities they help to fund. Serena Barker-Singh, Sky News.